So with gyms opening back up, sure, plenty of you out there and a lot of our athletes are gearing up to get back into the Olympic lifts, the clean and the snatch, and anything you're doing on the platform, fast and explosive. What we wanted to do today was just run through a quick reminder of what we want to be doing for a little bit of mobilization, a little bit of prep before jumping into those moves again, especially if it's been over a year since you've lifted a bar with speed. We want to make sure your body is ready and prepared to accept that load, right? So a couple quick reminders. The three most common areas you want to be rolling before doing a clean, which we're doing today, is getting into the calves with a lacrosse ball, finding a surface where you can get that ankle off the end. So with my lifting platform here, I'm able to get my ankle right off the end so that I can move, I can dorsiflex and flex my ankle as I work through that tight tissue at the bottom of my calf, right above the Achilles tendon, easing into that. So we can roll those calves. The next most common area I'm getting my athletes to roll is at the hip flexor. So just below that hip bone, as you've seen in previous videos of ours, getting into that hip flexor. If you've never seen this before, if this is a new move for you, getting into that hip flexor is really important. And going to check out that video would be worth your while to know what you're targeting there. And then the third most common area to be looking at when we're catching a clean with the barbell or into that front squat is into those lats, and making sure that we understand what we're doing here is by releasing some of that tissue in that lat. I'm trying to get that bottom bicep up by my ear, and I'm leaning into that. I'm finding that tender tissue, slipping forward and back, creating that slide over the shoulder blade, over the ribs, and really trying to mobilize that big lat muscle to receive my front squat position, my clean position. All right, then we want to sneak in a good warm-up. So skipping is always my favorite prior to any sort of jumps, plyometrics, or Olympic lifts day of. So I'm just working through a good 2 minutes of skipping here, get the body moving. So important muscles to get ready to receive our clean are of course those big strong glutes and all our hip stabilizers at that hip joint. So I'm going to start in my bridge with the band just below my knees, hands out to the side, extend through one leg, and I'm priming my left leg to balance and control. Now it's my right leg, balance and control, shift, I lower my hips, re-engage, and same thing again. And a good 5 to 10 of these, and then we can rotate right into another favorite in the clamshell to really isolate now those external rotators that are going to do the job of sitting deep into that squat. So we've got the simple clamshell, looking for that muscle right behind the hip, that little burn right behind your hip bone, right in the side of the butt cheek. And then the elevated version of this, we go up onto our side. We're kind of in a half side plank. Knee is still on the ground. My top hand is on the ground, trying to point my belly button down to the floor. I'm working through this clamshell from side plank. And what I'm doing here is now I'm still working the side plank, working that external rotation, in that top leg, but I'm also simultaneously working my stance leg as a stabilizer down low, which is exactly what we want to be utilizing it for, to fire up a little bit of that fast twitch out of the actual jump itself. And what I usually do is I'm comboing this with my stretching routine prior to actually loading the bar for the clean, right? So I'm going to sit into that squat, no counter movement to my jump. I'm exploding from this isometric squat position, exploding into that bottom position, and trying to land in that squat nicely. And I'm really trying to explode out of the floor with intention here. And then I'm going to work into my frog squat, which is a favorite of mine for that stretch, a good full body stretch here. So I'm sitting into that deep squat, creating a good stretch by putting pressure out on the inside of my legs. I'm feeling that good stretch in my groin. I grab the toes, kicking the hips up. It's a big, deep breath through. And I stretch out that posterior chain as well. So I sit deep in the squat to start the frog squat. As tall as I can through that spine. Lateral lunges. Kneeling lat stretch. This works really well with a bench or a Swiss ball. You can do it with the foam roller as well, absolutely too. Where you're sinking the chest and the head, looking for that stretch through the lats. And then I can rotate up to the ceiling to really extend this stretch now. One side, sink into it again, and then reach through the other side. And lastly, we don't really want to forget about those calves as well. The gastroc more so. We got the soleus from that deep squat position, but we want to get into those calves a little bit too. And all these stretches we can do intraset as well in between each lift to just continue to keep this loose. But so important, especially if it's been a while, spend a good 10-15 minutes on the warm-up. Make sure your body's prepared to accept that load before you throw all the weight on. And then moving into the first round, we're actually utilizing the bar here, a little bit of a warm-up to fire up the actual pattern of the clean and sitting into that deep front squat and really spending a little extra time getting comfortable in that deep front squat position. Again, if it's been a while since you've been in the gym, so important that you really emphasize the small things before loading up your old weight and getting right after it, right? So what I like to coach for any of my athletes prepping to do a fast move is just remind those fast muscles exactly what they're going to be doing. So we prime a little bit of a jump, usually two. Think about getting off the floor fast. And this is only 95 pounds. This is quite light from what I'm comfortable using. So I know this is going to come up with speed, and I've got to appreciate that I'm not going to be able to put everything into this unless I want to lose some teeth. So I'm just getting the patterning down of that triple extension, sitting in that good front rack position, and reminding myself what sitting in this front squat feels like. I'm just going to do this about 5 times. Just pattern the movement, get it down. You can even do it less than that, but what you really want to do is emphasize the little things, emphasize the bottom of that catch. Take your good 2-minute rest, load up your actual weight, and get off that after that first set. And hopefully we get through day 1, getting back into it, no injuries, and we can continue to get after it in the gym. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully it saved a little bit of injury out there. Take care of yourselves, and hopefully the gyms stay open. Cheers, guys.